Welcome to the next level.
Willkommen bei Upgraded Humans, dem Podcast für Bio- und Bodyhacker über die Zukunft des Menschseins. And here is your host, Dr. Patrick Kramer.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Podcast-Ausgabe von Upgraded Humans, Zukunft des Menschseins. In der heutigen Folge möchte ich euch einen ganz lieben Menschen vorstellen, Brittany Ford. Brittany ist eine kanadisch-südafrikanische Biohackerin und wie sie so ihren Alltag gestaltet, wie sie zu Achtsamkeit findet, aber ihre Ansätze zur Ernährung bis hin zu Vampirblut und auch ihrem allerliebsten Biohack, das verrät sie uns in unserer heutigen Folge alles. Mit ihr tauche ich also tief in ihren Arbeitsalltag ein, in ihre Materie. Brittany ist auch in den Social Medias sehr präsent mit fast 15.000 Followern, begeistert sie wirklich Tag für Tag mit ihrer Frische und mit ihren Ideen immer aufs Neue. Ja, das Interview oder das Gespräch habe ich aus gutem Grund mit ihr auf Englisch geführt. Ich hoffe aber, es ist trotzdem gut verständlich und ihr werdet euren Spaß haben.
Welcome to the next level.
Brittany Ford, hello, my guest of today's podcast episode. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really good. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, Brittany, you are based now in Vancouver, Canada. Is that correct?
Yes, I was born in South Africa with my family, and we immigrated to Canada quite a while ago when I was a kid. And we immigrated to the east coast of Canada, southeast, so Toronto area in Ontario. And then I moved out to BC, the west coast, about 5-6 years ago.
Brittany, you are like a nutritionist, is that correct? You're also a coach, you run a web shop, you run a program, and you are basically, to speak, you're a professional biohacker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I am a registered holistic nutritionist by trade. So that's how I work with clients, is kind of like under that umbrella. Mm-hmm. But I'm also a biohacker in terms of what I recommend to clients. And it's a very holistic point of view that we focus on. So it's not just nutrition. We focus on a lot of other aspects that make my clients healthy. So
when you say we, is that like you have like staff, or is it only you, who's we?
Yeah. So we is like me and the client,
okay.
That's what I mean. Like we focus on that together. It's a very holistic way of working together. But by trade, I am a nutritionist. Yeah.
All right. But overall, you're dealing with all aspects basically within biohacking. And before we go into that, do you want to share with us a little bit how it all started with biohacking? So what's your personal story? Everyone, it seems, has their personal approach to that topic. What's your way?
Yeah. So quite a long time ago, like 10, 11 years ago, I was dealing with health problems myself. And this was before biohacking was a thing, before the wellness movement, really. And really struggled to find answers and struggled to find proper support.
Was that more like a physical or mental problems you were confronted with?
It was physical. It was probably both. So I realized through going through a naturopath and nutritionist at the time, it was a lot of gut health issues, but it was presenting in physical and mental. So I was struggling to concentrate in school. I was struggling with sleep. My hair was falling out and thinning, and my digestion was off. So I had like all of these weird symptoms. And then through looking in other places, I was actually able to help my body heal. And along that journey, I really fell in love with natural health. And then it kind of took all these different turns, as it does. And I found biohacking probably 3 years ago.
As a term,
before it was, as a term and as a movement, before it was anything like it is right now. And yeah, I was really excited, and I just loved the idea of it, loved the philosophy behind it, and embraced it. And yeah, that's kind of where I am today.
And in your definition, how would you define biohacking as you live it today? What is biohacking for you?
So the way that I define it is holistic self-care for optimal health. So if you break it down, holistic self-care. So that means that we're not just looking at nutrition, we're looking at sleep and stress and relationships and fitness and everything that makes you, you. And then for optimal health is this idea of living in a healthier state, not normal health, but optimal health. So everyone can kind of like become healthier, right? We're definitely not aiming for perfection, because I don't think perfect health exists. But we're aiming to feel better physically, mentally, spiritually, or whatever way you want to look at it. And so, yeah, that's kind of the goal.
I quite like the definition that you said, holistic self-care for optimal health, you said, because here in Germany, what I read all the time, they translate basically biohacking with self-optimization. And I'm not really happy about the word optimization or self-optimization. I don't feel like being an optimized person, compared to a person who's not a biohacker. So I don't know. I'm struggling a little bit with this term self-optimization. How do you see that?
Yeah, I think you have to be careful with biohacking and that type of language, because it's very easy to kind of get your ego involved in terms of like, I'm going to optimize myself and I'm going to be better than other people because I am self-optimizing. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be careful. Like, I think you have to remain humble in your pursuit of becoming healthier.
Right.
And some of the biggest figures that we look at in the biohacking space, like, they don't necessarily portray that all the time, right? So it's you have to kind of just be careful, because I think you can get swept up in it in not the best way. Yeah.
And also, it was a couple of days ago, I had a conversation with a journalist, and he was like going on and really asking me, what are your routines and what are you doing? And really like pushing. And at the end, I quite understood where he was trying to get me to. It was more like, so that at the end he could write something like, oh, that sounds so stressful. You know what I mean? And I kept telling him, for me, biohacking is about doing something or experimenting a lot without being anxious or without any fear, but experimenting with your body, with biology, with technology, what does you good and what not, and but not in a stressful way. I'm not like biohacking because I have to do, and otherwise I'm not self-optimized. I think that's a totally wrong approach.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's different for everybody, right? So what works for you in your biohacking toolkit might not work for me. There's a lot of differences between you and I, and there's a lot of differences between everybody. So I think we have to have this very like, okay, I read this article about biohacking your morning routine. Okay, but actually, how does that fit into my life? And how does that make sense for me on a very biological level, on a personal level? And so you really have to personalize any recommendations.
And this is also, I guess, how you work with your clients, right? To work on a really personal level.
Yes, of course. Like, everyone's life is so different. Everyone's health is so different. And everyone's goals are different too. Like, some people want to lose 40 pounds and some people want to have better sleep. Like, your recommendations are going to be so different for those two things. And so it's very individualized and it's very personal.
And we don't stop there. So is it correct? I think I read in one of your Instagram posts about you going even further. And I mean, not like people are different in a character way or in the way what they are aiming for, but really when it comes to breaking down on your genome, on your DNA, right? And you have also experimented with that. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, last summer I had my DNA tested, and they tested for fitness markers, for nutrition, for certain health problems too, like Alzheimer's and that type of thing. And it's very interesting to look at that because, previously we thought your DNA was kind of the route that you were going to take in life. Like these things were kind of inevitable that they were going to happen to you. But now with all the research out about epigenetics and further research about DNA, we understand that DNA is actually just a blueprint for our life. So when you get your DNA tested, you can look at it and say like, okay, I'm susceptible to depression or whatever it might be. Now that I know that, I can actually increase my awareness of things that actually might trigger me to feel depressed. And I know that I'm more susceptible to it. So I need to be more sensitive to this in my life, right? So you can kind of take it and decide to not let those genes be expressed and not come to fruition.
So,
yeah.
And you had some surprising results there, or was it basically stating what you already knew about yourself?
No. I definitely had surprising results. So something I found interesting was my protein needs. So I actually require more protein than the average person my age and my gender and that type of thing. And I wouldn't have known that unless I got my DNA tested. Like I wouldn't know that I need to, every meal should have a decent amount of protein every single time, every snack, right? Like how would you know that otherwise, really?
Right.
So that's been very helpful. I've also, my DNA showed that I actually don't do well with too much saturated fat. And when you're, experimenting with keto or like these other, diets and ways of eating, some of them are high fat now, right? So but then you get your DNA tested and it says, actually, like this might not be the best thing for you. So then you kind of tweak how you're eating because again, like your genes are a blueprint. And so you can use that information to be more informed about decisions that you make.
And when you work with your clients now on a nutritional level, do you also ask them to have their DNA tested before you really go into coaching them for the optimal nutrition?
Yeah, I mean, I work with a company and I outsource that to them. Like if they want to get their DNA tested, it is really helpful. Another like service that I have provided or do provide is people get tested and then come to me after when they're not my clients because they get their results back, but they don't understand what to do with it. So there's kind of this like and it's same with like Viome, which is like a gut health test, right? You get tested and you get this like 90-page report. And then you're like, okay, I don't understand this. I don't know what to do. Who can I go to with this information to actually make it into actionable steps every day and implement it? And so I have people reaching out to me and being like, hey, can you review my results and kind of sum this up for me and make some recommendations? And I'm like, sure, like I totally understand the reports and let's do it. So it's been interesting.
And biohacking for me is also about quantitative data. And as such an DNA test, is that really based on then quantifiable data, or how does it look like?
Yeah, I mean, it is data, right? Like you are quantifying yourself, but with a DNA test, you only do it once, right? Your DNA is not going to change. So it's actually kind of nice, right? Like if you did it today, like you could refer back to it in 10 years and be like, this is still the same for me. But my life stage is different. Things are different. How can this be applicable now? But things like Viome, when it's like a gut intelligence test and it's looking at bacteria in your gut, that changes every week, right? So it changes all the time.
And being aware of your protein needs, for instance, have you then changed your eating habits for yourself? And do you feel better now? Is that then the consequence?
Yeah. So like in the morning, so before, say I would have like coconut yogurt, homemade granola, and, spirulina or bee pollen put on top. Now I actually add a scoop of collagen protein to that, or I add collagen to my bulletproof coffee. So it's always kind of like this idea of how can I increase the protein of my snack, of my food, whatever I'm eating.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel better. Like, I feel more energized.
Right.
Definitely.
That's super cool. Do you have any other, or what are your favorite like biohack nutrition tips, recommendations for us here? Are there some secrets that you think, might fit to most of the people?
Yeah. I don't know if there's like secrets when it comes to nutrition.
Sounds better.
Yeah. I think with nutrition, it sounds so boring and lame, but honestly, like the basics really do work, right? Like staying away from packaged food, buying fresh vegetables, fruit, high quality meat, high quality dairy if you eat dairy, like really just like
and
staying and local, right? Like
seasonal and local. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of diets out there. There's a lot of like intermittent fasting and keto and carnivore and like all sorts of things that you can do. But I think the basics and like creating a foundation of whole food that comes from the earth, that is not packaged, is not sprayed with pesticides and all sorts of things like that. Like if you can afford organic is better. I really think that works time and time again.
Yeah, I must agree. The more I source basically my nutrition from really local farms here, seasonal, trying to avoid, or that's a challenge I'm trying to do when going into a supermarket. Try to shop in a supermarket products that are not wrapped in plastic. That is like a challenge. It's almost impossible these days.
Yeah. There's a lot of plastic everywhere. It's a problem. It's a massive environmental problem for sure.
Yeah, and of course that also, but finding really like loose food is loose food in general that has not a label is for me like a very good indicator of something that I should eat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. To make it as simple as possible. If a product has a long label with lots of text on it, it's almost certain not to be good for you.
Yeah. Well, sticking to things that have like one ingredient, right? Like broccoli versus some pre-made broccoli quiche, which has 20 ingredients in it and preservatives and all sorts of things, right? Like it's pretty obvious when you try and stick to like actual whole simple foods. Now, it doesn't mean it has to taste simple. Like you can cook a delicious meal with it, right? But it's when you buy it, like that's important.
That's right. So nutrition, we've covered that. We've looked into your DNA. What I like to know about you, Brittany, is that like from a technology point of view, are you using any tools or gadgets really to get your holistic self-care in an optimal health state? Wow, that was a cool phrase.
Yeah. So I've tried a lot of different things. And so some things stick and some things don't. I really like the Oura Ring. I think that would probably be my number one tech gadget, biohacking
fully
gadget.
agree. Yeah.
The Oura Ring has changed my lifestyle for the better. It's changed my sleep for the better. And I actually won it in a contest.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago, actually. Dave Asprey had a contest for it and I won. And, I knew about it before that on Instagram. Like I knew about the Oura Ring. And looking back now after having it for 2 years, like I wish I had bought it when I first heard about it 3-4 years ago, because it is so helpful and the data is so helpful.
Yeah, I agree.
So Oura Ring is definitely a recommendation for anybody. I also like red light therapy. I kind of go back
LED
and forth.
panels. Yeah,
I kind of go back and forth with red light therapy. I go through phases of it. So sometimes I'll do it for 2 months in a row, every single morning on my face, really just to help with my skin. And then sometimes I'll just like not use it for 6 months and like come back to it. I've recently started, this might be a lot of information, but somebody recently talked to me about the impact it can actually have on the reproductive parts for women. So like our ovaries, and how it can actually really stimulate mitochondria function there and help them to function better. So that's kind of what I've been experimenting with lately, is like red light therapy on my ovaries. And like I've seen, it sounds crazy, but the biohacking world is very male dominant, right? So I've seen a lot of men use red light therapy on their areas for sperm and for testosterone and different things like that. And so now I started using it on mine, and it's been really interesting. So that's kind of where I'm at with red light therapy. That's what I'm currently experimenting with.
So maybe for the listeners, red light therapy, you basically have a panel that contains a certain number of LEDs, which are, I think, 660 nanometers and 850 red light and near infrared light combined. This is what I at least do in my sauna. I'm combining it with a normal Finnish sauna. Is this something you use? Is this similar what you have?
Yeah. So I have a couple different panels from different companies. And very similar. It sounds like there's quite a lot of companies on the market now. Like when I first started biohacking like 2 years ago, there was like Juve. There was the one company and that was it. And now there's so many, which is really cool. So yeah.
Big variety. Yeah. So I must say, I like that as well. So Oura Ring, we had red light. So Oura Ring basically is analyzing, gathering data about you throughout your sleep and throughout your day life, your routines, your stress levels. When you are using, I'm not sure about Android, but when you're an Apple user, it combines the data of your Apple Health Kit and enrich it with other data, maybe from your Apple Watch or other trackers. So this is also what I love about it. Cannot be without it anymore. Red light for really actually improving your skin. And I can imagine what you said at the beginning, Brittany, about the was it dull weather you were describing that you have in Vancouver, where you can hardly see the sun? I could imagine that makes a difference to your skin, to your mood, to your well-being, right?
Yeah, it can definitely help with energy and feeling awake and kind of mimicking the sunlight, right? Like the sunrise in the morning, the sunset at night type of thing. Because it's hard. It's hard when you don't get a lot of sun in the climate that I live in, right? Like we're getting into longer days now, but before like January, December, like the sun was setting by like 4:30 p.m. So it's really early.
Right. What else do you have on your list to share with us?
So I have a little sauna, which I love. It's a one-person tiny little sauna I bought online. It's not infrared. When I have a house soon, I will like actually invest in a proper big sauna. And I love that just because it's detoxing. It's really good for your skin. It's really good to sweat. And it's one of my favorite things I've ever bought, actually. And it's fantastic.
What's a one-person sauna? So you just sit there in this tiny box? Or how do I need to imagine
basically
that?
So if you think of like a chair, like a camping chair, it's basically that. And there's like this little tent around you and your head sticks out. So you can only sit down. You can't stand, you can't lie anywhere. And then you just sit in this little sauna, and it goes to about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, Fahrenheit.
Okay.
And it, yeah, like I will
Brittany,
read during it.
Sorry about my next question, but
okay.
can you send us a picture? Can you share a picture of you
Yes.
sitting there?
Yes, I have.
That's great.
Every time I post it on Instagram on my stories, everyone laughs because all you can see is my head. And then the rest is covered, so it looks hilarious.
I actually did that, but in the opposite way. So I'd had a cryo sauna where just my head sticks out, stuck out with minus 190 degrees Celsius. I don't know Fahrenheit, but like cold therapy.
Yeah.
So that's also, but you cannot do that at home because it's technically like not the same as a heat sauna.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done cryotherapy before, and loved it. Loved it. I love cold therapy in general, though. And I'm trying to do it more often because I feel so much better after I do it. Yeah, that's really cool, though.
I need to have that picture, nevertheless.
Okay, I will send you a picture.
Yeah, so cool. So, any other like gadgets or technology you use?
Yeah, I mean, recently I'm just like looking around my house and thinking about what I have. I have I just bought I don't know if this counts as biohacking, but I just bought a scale for the first time, and it's like it's not AI, but it's like a scale that measures more than your weight. Mm-hmm. So it does like body fat percentage, it does bone mass, it does like metabolic age, It does all these different things. Cool. Which is really cool because I've never had one at home that does that. I've always like just measured things at the gym. So I like that because it's pretty like basic quantifying yourself, mm-hmm. but it's really good as well, just to kind of like be on top of that. So that's something I just bought recently. And then I guess I have a lot of red lights in my house in general. So I bought these lights that have different settings on them. So like at nighttime, they only emit red light. So there's no blue light. And so my whole apartment at night kind of looks a little weird because it's lit up only by red lights. Ooh. So it's kind of, it's very like, I don't want to say it looks like a brothel, but it looks very like,
as long as no one rings the door.
Yeah. But that really helps. And then in conjunction with that, I use my blue blocking glasses for like if the TV's on or my phone or whatever. And that is so pivotal. It's not necessarily technology, like I guess the lights are, but blue blocking glasses are so helpful for me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
I don't know. I think that's it as of right now. Like I have a lot of other technology and things that I use, but I don't think it's necessarily biohacking. Like I have a essential oil diffuser on my desk. Mm-hmm. I have what's it called? It like emits mist into the air. Humidifier because it gets dry in here, especially with the heat on, and that helps like my lungs and that helps my skin. I have lots of plants. I have crystals. I have it's a very healthy apartment in general. So
that sounds wonderful. And would you say, or is there a too much when it comes to biohacking for you? Is there a certain border you would not cross? How far do you go?
Yeah. So I think there definitely is. Like, I think when I first started my biohacking journey, everything kind of felt overwhelming. Like it just there seemed to be so many products and so much technology and so much to buy and do. And I kind of just went at it like one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. So I think it's better. I think it's better to not be overwhelmed by everything and just kind of start with small things. But yeah, there's definitely a line for me, like I don't know. I like body hacking. Like I don't think that I would necessarily get into implants and that type of thing. Like it's just not my focus and not where I would go. But I think, there's still other biohacking things that I haven't done that I would like to do.
Yeah, because of course my background, I'm more like a body hacker. I'm like coming from the more like a technology approach and digital transformation of life, and so I'm also asked this question a lot by people who are like so scared about implants, and when I tell them how what's the English word, like harmless they are, and we are very quickly then talking about, so where's the limit, how far would I personally go? And for me, biohacking is, yes, it's also about health and good living and stuff, but biohacking necessarily for me is also about bringing back basically technology subdermally under your skin, or even hacking your DNA, or printing organs or extensions of your body with a 3D bioprinter and stuff like that. So I think biohacking does not need to stop on the nice things. It could also be like really getting into the dark field, how I like to call it. It's all about experimenting. It's all about what you think is good for you, what not. When it comes to DNA hacking, I'm like, woo, this is like, for me, my personal limit, what I would say, where I am feeling uncomfortable when it comes to that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so measuring and analyzing DNA, yes, but hacking it, oof. So but I know, let's switch a little bit here again. I know from a conversation we had before and some pictures I saw of you, that there's one biohack in your life that you haven't mentioned. And for me personally, this is one of the best biohacks I can even think about. Any idea what I'm referring to?
Oh my gosh, no, that's so funny. I don't know what you're referring to.
I think it's your dog.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that?
Yeah, he's he's a lot of work, but there
you go. It forces you to go outside at least 3-4 times a day. You need to care about someone. It spends lots of joyness and fun and all these things. Isn't that a good biohack?
Yeah, no, it is. I took him out for a nice walk this morning. We went for about an hour to the beach. And yeah, it is like, just like you said, like you get outside more. But it's also just like taking care of something other than yourself.
Yeah.
And
awareness.
It really, awareness. Like it really helps with mental health, because when you have a dog, like they're not going to make you think about the past or worry about the future. Like you have to think about the present right now, taking the dog for a walk, feeding the dog. If the dog makes a mess, cleaning it up, like you're always brought back to the present moment. And it's very easy to not do that in life. So it's so good for mental health. Like, it's great.
Brittany, before we finish, is there something like an unusual hack you'd like to share with us? Any unusual nice gadget or app or thought you have that you would say, hey guys, check it out, you might like it? Anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that I could say here, but what's front of mind for me, because I just booked my appointment this morning. So something that if you, and I'm assuming you have access to this where you are, but something that if you have skin issues or are looking for helping your skin, or you have scarring, or you have acne or wrinkles, whatever lines, something that I do is called PRP, and it stands for platelet-rich plasma. So it's a treatment that you do in a clinic. And basically what they do is they take the blood from your arm, they spin it, and they separate your PRP from, like, your plasma from the rest of your blood. And then they take that, it's like liquid gold. It's very, very nutrient dense. And they take that and they put it in different areas in your face. And it basically helps your skin recover much, much faster from whatever you're dealing with. And the results that I've done PRP 3 times now. The results that I've seen from PRP is like amazing. It's so cool because you're not using like a synthetic filler or Botox or anything like that. Like you're literally taking what's in your own body and putting it in a different place and helping that skin heal. So it's really cool. Like I used to have acne scars on my chin. I used to have really dark circles under my eyes ever since I was a kid. And it just rejuvenates the skin on a cellular level. And then you see the results and it's amazing. So I recommend it to all my friends and that's like front of mind for me right now. So definitely if you are looking to boost your skin, look into that because it's amazing.
Wow. Would be glad if you could share with us some links. So I could put that also in the show notes. Sounds really interesting. I must say I've not heard about that yet. Definitely gonna look into it. I mean, my skin can also make use of a little bit rejuvenation, and so fantastic. Brittany, I really thank you for your time, and it was a pleasure speaking to you. And it's so cool talking to someone now in Vancouver from Germany. It's great, and I really like to stay in touch. I'm also, if you don't mind, gonna put the links to your Insta account and stuff like that into the show notes, so people can follow you.
Sure.
And I wish you really, really all the best, especially with your dog. What's his name or her name?
His name is Moose.
Moose. Excellent. Moose. Fantastic. Moose. Cool way. Say hello to Moose and have a great day for you. It's now the morning time. We're here in Germany now in the evening. So have a great productive day and have fun with continue doing biohacking.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was really great.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Das war eine weitere Folge von Upgraded Humans, Zukunft des Menschseins, wo ich euch Biohacker aus aller Welt vorstelle, ihre Ansätze, ihre Ansichten und ihre Vorgehensweisen, Wissenschaftler, Politiker, Transhumanisten und Menschen wie du und ich in dem Thema Upgrading. Ich hoffe, ihr hattet Spaß an der Folge und habt vielleicht Lust bekommen, das ein oder andere mal selbst auszuprobieren. Ihr wisst ja, viele der auch in der Podcast-Folge besprochenen Artikel findet ihr auf digiwell.com. Schaut doch da einfach mal vorbei oder lasst einen Gruß da. Ich würde mich sehr freuen. In diesem Sinne, never stop hacking. Macht's gut und tschüss.